Welcome to the rest of my life. I'm Lance Ash. Heading back to work after a 3-day weekend full of events and chores and accomplishment. It's a good, productive weekend. Alright, but first, let's see what's in the bag. Liz Phair, Exile in Guyville. I used to have that on cassette before I got married. I don't know where I got the cassette at, but I used to really, really like that record a lot. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into that. I found that this weekend, somewhere. Brian Eno and David Byrne, My Life in the Bush of Ghosts. Still not done exploring this record again. What's this? Ricky Lee Jones, Flying Cowboys. Jefferson Airplane, Surrealistic Pillow. I got this at a library book sale this weekend. Oh dear. Supergrass, Road to Rouen. Passengers, Original Soundtracks 1. This is a collaborative experiment between U2 and Brian Eno. Huh. Bono's not listed on the back. Is he not? Oh, well. It was just 3/4 of U2. Alright, this is a compilation that somebody made for me of Misfit songs. And this is Slayer, God Hates Us All. And this is Slayer, World Painted Blood. And that's it. Okay, let's see what we got. I only have 2 topics written down. They're both related. The first is YouTube in general. And I'm just stunned at the lack of stuff worth listening to on YouTube. And I'm specifically talking about stuff worth listening to, because I don't have time to stare at a screen. I like to get stuff done, so I just put it on in the background. And recently, these two things blend together. The second topic is guests. Recently I discovered Gilbert Gottfried's podcast. And at first I was really excited. Here's something interesting I can listen to. But the downside of it quickly became apparent. It's the guests. I don't give a shit about the guests, because the guests introduce a new element that makes the podcast hit or miss. If it was the same couple of guys talking every time, then you know what you're in for. Okay, let me expand this theme a little bit. I used to love watching Red Letter Media. Various permutations of it. But it got so big, so famous, that all these half-assed celebrities wanted to horn in on it. So they started having what's his name? Kulky McCulkin on there all the time. I don't give a shit about his opinion on anything. And it just ruined it. And I just stopped watching that channel altogether. And just listening to Gilbert Gottfried and his friend, or one or two friends talk about stuff is fine. But they had an episode with Tim Matheson, and I like Tim Matheson, and if it was a program dedicated to doing interviews, I wouldn't mind watching an interview with him. Fine. But I don't know. See, in a proper interview, the interviewer himself is just part of the machinery, and the interviewee is the focus. But on a podcast like Gilbert Gottfried's, Gilbert Gottfried is part of the show, and the guest introduces an uncertain element. And plus, that show, after a while, you begin to realize that they're just, oh, do you remember this movie? Oh, yes. Do you remember that movie? Who was in that movie? So-and-so. Oh, yes. Was she Jewish? Oh, that's right. She was Jewish. And it's just on and on and on. And there's just such a paucity of stuff worth anything. There's a channel called Astrum where they talk about astronomy, and it's pretty good, but it's very slow paced. The atmosphere is 15.9% more dense than the Earth's atmosphere, and the gravity is 17.9% weaker. In terms of kilometers, we can speculate that the methane will form crystalline globules at the density of the half acre. Oh, God. Well, so far, our internet seems to be working well. Seems to be working slightly better. I was expecting miracles, I was expecting to upload a 30-minute video in no time at all, and it was only slightly faster than previously. But still, as long as it's reliable, I'll be happy with it. It's amazing the stuff that you can't find on the internet. There was a book published in 1982 called Up from Seltzer. It was a humor book about the difference between generations of Jewish people in America, and it was cartoons. It was illustrated text, put it that way. And the guy who wrote the text and the guy who drew the cartoons, very little information about them online, which is odd. Even I found the author. I think I found the author, but he mentions nothing about the book on his website. So it may be him, it may not. I don't know. I'll tell you somebody else that's very little known about him. Back in the early 80s, there was a vogue for this guy named Homer Formby. He was a furniture restorer, refinisher, who had his own line of products. And I remember seeing him on Donahue back around 1980 or 81 or something. And there's no information about him online at all. Just disappeared. Very odd. Things that you can't find out about. Don't put your nose out in the road in front of me. Oh. Well, I'm hoping for a better week. Oh, well, the reason I have 3-day weekend is because I have to go to the dentist on Thursday afternoon. And it was a pleasant experience. I know some people hate going to the dentist, but I've never had a problem with it. All the dentists I've had over the years have been totally pain-free. I think pain is the thing most people have a problem with. I think the reason they have pain is because they don't floss. So their teeth and gums aren't toughened up when any tinkering goes on. Trying to think. Oh my God. I did so much this weekend. My mother had a yard sale and she had this desk that my daughter wanted. So I had to put it in the back of the car by myself, drive it over to my daughter's apartment, and she helped me up the stairs with it into her place. Just barely avoided hurting my back. I went to this thrift store. There's this bottom of the barrel thrift store called America's Best Thrift. And they had, that's where I got that Liz Phair album. I got that, and I got 2 Morrissey albums, and something else. What was the other thing I got? Must be in the bag, right? Can't remember now. But anyway, when I got home, I found I already had those 2 Morrissey albums. I wish I had Viva Hate. That's got the song Alsatian Cousin on it, which is really good. He is such a weird person. He's turning into the Tom Jones of our generation, I guess. He'll have a Las Vegas residency before you know it. Speaking of which, I wonder what David Lee Roth is doing now. I don't know. I don't understand people who just, okay, I've made enough money, I'm retiring now. But performing and making music was your art. I guess it's easier for somebody who paints or writes because, after their body begins to decay, they can still do it. But for a performer, I guess there comes a time. I don't know if the Stones are still going. Have you seen David Lee Roth's so-called paintings? They're absolutely horrible. I just don't get it. Oh my God. Sorry, this is going to be a boring episode. But I finished the latest issue of my online magazine. It's posted on my blog, lanceash.blogspot.com. And I think in many ways it's the best issue yet. I've been writing a novel for the last 3 months or so, and my intention had been to serialize it in the magazine. But when it came time to scan in all the pages and post the issue, I realized you're talking about another 40 pages of stuff. The issue will be 90-something pages long. There's just no way. So I'm going to have to publish the book in some other venue, some other way. I don't know what I'm going to do. Blogger is not a good place to publish large blocks of text, especially if you haven't typed them directly into Blogger. If you type them on some other format and then try to copy and paste, it gets all screwed up. I used to do that on my old blog, and it wouldn't indent anything. It was just a big chaotic mess. Kind of wish I hadn't started this damn book, but now that I've started it, I can't get. I don't quit projects in the middle. If I go on hiatus with it, it'll never be the same. I kind of wish I could just go back to the way I was doing books in the past, 10 years ago, where it's just little tiny short stories loosely strung together. But as you mature, you get a greater grasp of how to create and spew out larger narratives. And going back to little tiny things is hard to do, especially when you've already created this framework that's fit for a larger narrative. If any of that makes any sense. Oh my God, I don't want to go to work. These 3-day weekends are so wonderful. You can really relax and get into it on a 3-day weekend. But I don't know, the union would never let us do this, but would you be willing to work 10-hour days if you could get a 3-day weekend? I don't know, it's tempting. The union is so stodgy, and ultimately all the union cares about is the union. It's the way of life. All they care about is getting more union members. That's really what it boils down to. Oh my God. The post office is on shaky ground, my friends. The people at the top don't know what they're doing, and the people at the bottom don't know what's going on. Well, let's see. I can't tell how close we are to the end here. Oh, okay. About 3 more minutes. Lifted weights tonight for the first time in like 5 days. Just amazing how weak you get if you don't do it every other day with regularity. My wife suckered me into watching this British detective murder mystery show called Whitechapel. It's so shitty. Oh my God. These shows know that they can sucker you in if they make the characters interesting, and if there's interesting relationships between and among the characters. But the murder mysteries themselves are so over the top and unrealistic, and the police procedures depicted are just so nonsensical. Oh God. Had some good meditation though this weekend. I really don't know what meditation's about. I've been doing it come the middle of November. I'll be meditating regularly for 5 years, and I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Oh, my God. Well, I guess I'm going to wrap it up here in a second. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to report. I guess not. So I won't bore you any further. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.